All right, welcome back everyone to Vuln Vibes. Back again for another deep dive
Yes.
into the wild world of cybersecurity. And we always bring you the most interesting, the most impactful stuff going on.
The most fun.
The most fun.
Yeah.
The stuff that we're talking about in the security community.
Absolutely.
Today we're going to be taking a look at a recent GitLab security advisory
Oh.
that has been making some waves.
Yeah.
And we know that all of you listening are security pros. You know what's up.
Certified.
So we're going to jump right into the good stuff.
Yeah, let's skip the 101.
Yeah, skip all the,
We don't need to talk about MITRE ATT and CK.
MITRE ATT and CK, or, what a kill chain is, all that stuff.
Yeah.
0 days.
Let's talk about GitLab.
GitLab.
Now, GitLab is everywhere.
Ubiquitous.
It really is, especially in the development world.
Yeah. If you're building software,
Uh-huh.
chances are you're interacting with GitLab somehow.
Yeah, and that's why when they release a security advisory, especially when they strongly recommend updating immediately,
It kind of makes you sit up and pay attention. Right?
makes you sweat a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, especially if you're one of the people who has to actually do the updating,
Oh, yeah.
which, speaking from experience, is not always fun.
No, it's not always fun. So one of the things that really jumped out at us in this advisory was the number of cross-site scripting vulnerabilities.
XSS.
XSS, like the cockroach of vulnerabilities, right?
It never goes away.
It never goes away.
No matter how hard we try.
You stomp it out, it comes back.
It always finds a way.
It always finds a way.
So we're looking at, in this advisory, a couple of high-severity XSS vulnerabilities. CVE-2025-0475, which affects the Kubernetes proxy endpoint.
Oh, Kubernetes.
I know, right? Everyone's favorite
Yeah, so popular.
container orchestration system. And this one's got a CVSS score of 8.7.
That's high.
It's pretty high.
That is pretty high.
That means an attacker could potentially inject some malicious code into a user's browser.
And then bad things can happen from there.
They could steal credentials, they could take over your account, they could do all sorts of nasty stuff.
And this affects all versions from 15.10 prior to the patch releases.
Yeah, so if you haven't updated in a while,
Cool.
and don't want to check that out.
But it's not just the Kubernetes proxy endpoint.
Yeah.
There's another one, CVE-2025-0555.
Oh yeah, that one's a good one.
And this one affects the Maven dependency proxy in GitLab Enterprise Edition.
So if you're using GitLab E, this is the one for you.
Yeah, and this one has a CVSS score of 7.7.
Still pretty high,
Still high, yeah, not quite as high as the Kubernetes one.
but still high enough to be concerned about.
Definitely. And it also allows attackers to potentially bypass security controls and execute arbitrary scripts in a user's browser.
Yeah, it's like giving them the keys to the kingdom.
It's not good, not good.
Not good at all.
And this one affects versions from 16.6 prior to the patched releases.
So basically what we're seeing here is XSS vulnerabilities are still a major threat,
They really are.
and they can pop up in all sorts of unexpected places.
It kind of makes you wonder, why is XSS still so prevalent?
Right.
Like
You guys-
2025, we've been talking about this forever.
We should have this figured out by now.
You would think, right.
But I think it really comes down to a couple of things. First of all, the attack surface is constantly expanding.
Yeah.
We're using more and more complex systems, more and more third-party libraries.
More integrations.
More integrations, exactly. And all of that creates more opportunities for attackers to find vulnerabilities.
It's like we're building a bigger house with more doors and windows.
More ways for the bugs to get in.
Exactly.
And then there's the human element.
Yes, the human element.
Developers make mistakes.
They do.
We all do. And even a small mistake can lead to a big security vulnerability.
Especially when you're talking about something like XSS, where it's all about manipulating how code is interpreted.
Exactly. It's a tricky problem.
It really is. But it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
There are things that we can do to protect ourselves. And one of the most important things is to stay up to date on the latest security advisories.
Preach.
Like this one from GitLab. Patch your systems as soon as possible.
Don't let those vulnerabilities linger.
And don't just rely on patching. Think about defense in depth.
Layers, layers, layers.
Layers, yeah.
Like an onion.
Like an onion.
Or an ogre.
Or an ogre, yeah.
Shrek was on something.
He was ahead of his time.
He knew about security.
So what's your biggest takeaway from this advisory?
I think for me, it's a reminder that we can't just sit back and wait for vulnerabilities to be discovered. We need to be proactive. We need to be constantly looking for ways to improve our security posture.
Thinking like an attacker.
Exactly. Trying to find those weaknesses before they do.
And for our listeners out there, What are your takeaways? What are you thinking about doing differently in light of this GitLab advisory? Share your thoughts with us on social media using the hashtag #VulnVibes. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep those security practices sharp.